Hollywood has always been a place where illusion and reality collide. The screen shows heroes, gentle fathers, charming adventurers, and lovable comedians. But behind the bright lights and carefully crafted images, the real personalities of some stars were far darker than audiences could ever imagine. According to stories shared privately by people who knew him, Dean Martin had strong opinions about several famous figures in the industry. To millions of fans, these men were icons. But Martin believed their real lives often contradicted the characters they played on screen. One name that frequently appeared in these discussions was Wallace Beery, a towering actor known for playing rough but lovable characters in films like The Champ. On screen, Beery's gruff personality always seemed to hide a good heart. Audiences saw him as the kind of man who might bark loudly but would ultimately do the right thing. Off-screen, however, many who worked with him described something very different. Beery was an imposing man, over 6 feet tall and weighing around 250 pounds, and according to numerous accounts, he used that physical presence to intimidate people around him. Stories from the era describe him bullying co-stars, mistreating crew members, and behaving with a level of cruelty that shocked those who expected the warmth suggested by his film roles. Martin reportedly once summarized his opinion bluntly, describing Beery as a man who got away with everything. The darkest rumors surrounding Beery involved the mysterious death of comedian Ted Healy, the original creator of the Three Stooges. In 1937, Healy was allegedly beaten outside a nightclub called the Trocadero. Days later, he died, with the official cause attributed to complications related to alcoholism. Yet for decades, whispers in Hollywood suggested the story was not that simple. Some insiders claimed that Beery was among the group responsible for the assault. While the allegations were never proven, the rumor persisted for generations. According to people who claimed to have heard Martin discuss it privately, he believed powerful studio executives had worked hard to protect their star by silencing witnesses and shaping the official narrative. Beyond that controversial story, Beery's everyday behavior was widely criticized. Colleagues spoke about racist remarks, intimidation tactics, and a habit of sabotaging other actors' performances. Some described him deliberately stepping on lines or ruining close-ups so he could dominate scenes. To Martin, this combination of cruelty and protection by the studio system symbolized everything wrong with Hollywood's image-making machine. A system capable of turning someone into a beloved public figure while ignoring harmful behavior behind the scenes. Another figure who fascinated Martin for similar reasons was the legendary singer and actor Bing Crosby. To the public, Crosby represented warmth and comfort. His voice in songs like White Christmas became the soundtrack of American holidays, and films such as Going My Way portrayed him as a wise and gentle father figure. Yet after Crosby's death, a different story began to emerge through the memoirs of his children. In particular, his son Gary Crosby described a childhood marked by strict discipline and frequent physical punishment. According to his account, their father maintained an almost military level of control within the household, sometimes beating his sons with a leather strap for small mistakes. People who claimed to know Martin well said he found this contrast deeply unsettling. As a father himself, Martin reportedly treated his children with affection and humor, making Crosby's harsh parenting difficult for him to understand. To him, the gap between Crosby's soothing public persona and the cold authority described by family members represented a troubling form of deception. The same man who sang gentle lullabies to millions of listeners could reportedly be intimidating and distant at home. If Crosby represented hidden coldness behind a warm voice, actor Errol Flynn symbolized another kind of contradiction. Flynn was the embodiment of heroic adventure during Hollywood's golden age, starring in swashbuckling classics like Captain Blood and The Adventures of Robin Hood. With his sword fights, athletic energy, and confident charm, he became the ultimate action hero of the 1930s. But behind that glamorous image was a personal life filled with controversy. Flynn faced 2 statutory rape trials in 1943 involving underage girls. Though he was acquitted, the scandal permanently stained his reputation. The phrase "in like Flynn" ironically emerged from the publicity surrounding the trials. According to people familiar with Martin's private comments, he warned friends to keep their sisters away from Flynn. The concern wasn't just about the accusations, but about a broader pattern of behavior. Numerous women later described encounters that felt manipulative or coercive. At the same time, rumors circulated that Flynn held political sympathies that contradicted the patriotic characters he played on screen. For Martin, this gap between heroic roles and troubling private conduct revealed the darker side of Hollywood's star system. The elegant European actor Adolphe Menjou represented yet another kind of controversy. On screen, Menjou specialized in portraying refined gentlemen and sophisticated diplomats in films like Passive Glory. Off-screen, he became known for his strong political views during the era of the House Un-American Activities Committee investigations. Minju actively cooperated with the committee and supported efforts to identify suspected communists within the entertainment industry. This period, commonly known as the Hollywood blacklist, destroyed the careers of many writers, actors, and directors. According to people who recalled Martin's opinions, he was deeply disturbed by Minju's enthusiasm for the process. While many figures reluctantly testified under pressure, Minju appeared eager to participate. Critics later accused him of helping to create a culture of fear in Hollywood. To Martin, the most troubling aspect was the contrast between Minju's polished image and the real consequences of his actions, which contributed to colleagues losing their livelihoods. Martin's most personal conflict, however, involved comedian Jerry Lewis. The two formed one of the most successful comedy teams in entertainment history, starring in 16 films together between 1946 and 1956. On stage and screen, Lewis played the hyperactive clown while Martin provided the cool, smooth counterpart. Audiences loved their chemistry, yet behind the scenes the partnership grew increasingly strained. According to stories shared by people close to Martin, Lewis gradually became controlling, dominating creative decisions and treating crew members harshly. After the duo split, Martin reportedly described his experience in simple terms. The public saw a clown, but he had lived with a tyrant. Lewis's reputation for perfectionism and explosive temper followed him throughout his solo career. Crew members spoke of being yelled at or humiliated for minor mistakes. The contrast between Lewis's charitable public image, especially his famous telethons supporting children with muscular dystrophy, and the stories of his behavior on set, left many observers conflicted about his legacy. Volatile personalities were not uncommon in Hollywood, but few matched the intensity of George C. Scott. Known for powerful performances in films like Patton and Dr. Strangelove, Scott combined extraordinary talent with a notoriously explosive temper. He famously refused his Academy Award for Patton and often clashed with directors. Reports from film sets described him punching walls, throwing furniture, and erupting into unpredictable rage. His battles with alcoholism only intensified these episodes. To some observers, the intensity that fueled his great performances also made him frightening to work with. Another respected actor with a complicated private life was Spencer Tracy. Tracy's reputation on screen was that of wisdom and moral authority. Films like Inherit the Wind portrayed him as a thoughtful defender of justice. Off-screen, however, his long struggle with alcoholism reportedly led to episodes of anger and violence. Friends and colleagues often worked hard to protect his reputation, keeping personal problems hidden from the public. Hollywood also saw its share of self-destructive figures, including Sterling Hayden. With his towering height and rugged features, Hayden seemed destined to become one of the industry's great leading men. His performances in films like The Asphalt Jungle and The Godfather revealed real talent. Yet his career was repeatedly disrupted by conflict, paranoia, and substance use. Colleagues often described him as combative and unpredictable, someone who could turn a film set into a battleground. The mysterious coolness of Robert Mitchum created another complicated reputation. Mitchum's laid-back style made him a defining figure in film noir classics like Out of the Past and the chilling thriller The Night of the Hunter. While many admired his effortless acting, others described him as emotionally distant and capable of unsettling behavior, particularly when drinking.